What do you do if you just are getting bullied by somebody in the class? What's a child going to do? What do you do if you're a parent and your child comes home with a sad face or a bloody nose, or you get a call from the school and they say, we've got a problem here. And this is a broad topic, and there's so many avenues to discuss, but I'd like to touch base on a couple of them. First of all, as a parent, yes, it's something you should be concerned about. And what you need to do as a parent is talk to your child about bullying, what bullying is. Bullying's not appropriate. And that it's important for their child not to hide it or hold bullying inside. They should come to you, they should tell their teacher, but primarily they should tell you if something happened. Because if they hold it inside, there's a danger that the bullying will continue, and there could be long-term emotional effects and physical effects on your child. So have an open communication with your children on what bullying is, what's acceptable behavior by others, and what's unacceptable. Ask them questions. Ask them how their day went at school. Best time to do is at the dinner table. What did you learn at school today? What happened at school today? Another sign is, and this crosses over to the fact that there's cyberbullying. Maybe your child's having a great time at school and nothing's happening at school, but they're posting. I know there are people that spend a lot of time every day posting, and a lot of it's gossip. And sometimes gossip hurts. And for a younger child that has a little post on a Facebook that's spread to all their friends, and if it's untrue, well, you've got some problems there. And it could really have some detrimental effects on the child's well-being, especially their mental well-being. But what if your child is bullying others? Some parents out there might say, oh, that's my kid. Don't take that approach. You shouldn't say it's okay if your child is doing the bullying, because guess what? If your child harms another, let's say the bullying turns physical, and let's say your child punches somebody in the face, and you haven't done anything about it, under Michigan law, you can be personally responsible to a civil lawsuit. You can be sued, and you'll be responsible for up to $2,500 in actual damages for something that you didn't do. In other words, there's an obligation on you as a parent to make sure your child acts appropriately. And bullying is one of the ways that's inappropriate. Punching someone's inappropriate. Even their negligent. If your child was negligent, you as a parent can be held responsible. So you've got a vested interest, not only as a parent to make sure your child does the right thing, but your wallet as well. A financial vested interest to make sure that your child acts appropriately. What do you do if you think your child's been bullied, or if there's bullying occurring? Well, you got to document it. Take pictures, keep copies of text messages, keep pictures of sites, websites. Do not react to bullying with bullying. Do not react to insults with more insults. Remember the old rhyme, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me? That's a good mantra to have when it comes to bullying. Second of all, a parent can approach another parent and say, I think there is a situation between our children. Sometimes if you have a reasonable parent, they won't even know their child's doing anything wrong at school. Their little Johnny or little Miss Mary are doing everything right. They're straight A students. They certainly would never be involved in bullying another child. And you might be bringing this to their attention for the first time, and ask them to talk to their child. But don't go accusing. Go more in a civil way where you're just saying, I think there's a problem, and let's see if we can solve this. Don't throw out accusations and say, your child did this and that, because that's not going to be taken well. Well, let's say ignoring doesn't work, and let's say talking to parents doesn't work. Well, what can you do? Well, you certainly have to go to the school. In Michigan, each school has to have a bullying plan of action, a procedure and a policy that the school has to institute and have available in case complaints are raised. It has to be written, it has to be followed, and there has to be a mechanism for parents to make complaints. And once a complaint is made, the school has to do a formal investigation of the bullying complaint. And if the school doesn't, then they're subject to fines and penalties and civil lawsuits. Now, lawsuits are always the last choice in anything. I'm a lawyer, and I'm telling you, the last thing I want to do is have my clients file lawsuits. Hopefully, the easiest way is just by having a conversation with the children involved, or the parents and the children involved, or the teacher, or the school. But certainly, if things get out of hand, if your child is injured or injures another, you certainly can call an attorney and appropriate action can be taken, normally in the means of a civil lawsuit. You could also, if there's a serious injury, you can also go to the police, but I don't really suggest taking criminal action, especially if you're involving children, because we don't want to get the criminal courts involved. This is something that can be handled, but it starts with open communication between parents and their children, and just a stepped up level approach on how to handle it when it does occur. So what happens if your child, you've talked to them and they come home and they say, you know what, this boy or girl said they're going to see me in class tomorrow and they're going to pick a fight with me, they're going to hurt me. Okay, they pushed me today, but I'm afraid. What do you do? If there's a threat of physical harm, give the school notice, absolutely, of that threat of physical harm, and document it. You can record the phone call. In fact, I suggest anytime you have any conversations with the parents or children or the school, record all those conversations. Because in Michigan, you can record conversations that you're on the phone with somebody else, and don't let them know that you're recording it. That's illegal in the state of Michigan. And that's the best evidence you can have. But you got to go to the school. I'll give you an example. I had a client once who called me and said, I want to sue the school because my child got beat up at school and actually had his arm broke and was in the hospital. I said, well, tell me what happened. Said, well, there was some bullying going on, and a child told my child on a social media post that tomorrow he was going to get him in third period. And he announced it on social media. So I said, well, what did you do? And the client said, I got up early that next morning, and I went to the school, and I went with my child into the principal's office before school began, and I notified them. I showed them the post. I told them what was going to happen. I identified the period, and they said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Well, what the school did is, knowing this was going to happen, they told the teacher, and the teacher decided to put them on opposite sides of a row. So instead of sitting next to each other, they separated them by 2 desks. And the teacher didn't watch, didn't keep an eye, and she was basically sitting there writing things on the backboard with her back to the classroom for about 5 minutes, and then she heard a scream. And what the child had done is jumped over and punched the living you-know-what out of the kid and hospitalized him. We sued. We sued the teacher, we sued the school, and we sued the parents. Well, the parents of the bully were responsible for $2,500 of damage. And I won't tell you how much we got, but we were successful against the school. Governmental immunity didn't apply. We put them on specific notice of an act that was going to happen. And they violated the law by not following the anti-bullying law. They didn't do enough. Or if you get wind of someone saying they're bringing a gun to school, not only let the school know, but in that case, you should let your local police know as well. Because the police, the middle schools and high schools now have assigned to them, most districts, designated police officers that are at the schools every day. And you want to inform them if there's a potential of a harm. Keep your eyes open, look for the warning signs, document things that happen.